Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is G. You're watching Allastrology. We're going to talk about the eclipses for 2026. Here we go. We have 4 eclipses happening this year. Um, so, just a little refresher on eclipses in general, right? We have like eclipses that are like lunar eclipse, which is the moon. And then we have solar eclipse. It's one or the other, right? Right. So, with that said, the solar eclipse is the sun and the moon together. It's a new moon, but it's a big new moon because it involves one of the nodes, one of the either the north node or the south node. Okay. So that's a new moon. And so for those of you who know your stuff and who've been following along, you kind of already have an understanding as to what that solar eclipse, what kind of energy it brings, right? And we're going to get there for we'll catch everybody else up for those who might not. And then on a solar eclipse, then on a lunar eclipse, that's the full moon stuff. Right. So the full moon is a different kind of energy. Yeah. Have you experienced the full moon in your life where you were like, oh shit, yeah, that's full moon energy. And so that's one of the layers, okay? Because there's a lot of layers to eclipses. And we talk about eclipses because usually these bring about changes. When eclipses occur, a change is coming. Okay. Now, I also want you guys to see this video actually before the year begins, before 2026 begins, because you're probably, depending upon your chart, for some of us, we're already in the energy of 2026 eclipses, at least the first ones in the first part of the year, because there's only going to be 4. And eclipses always come, they never travel alone. They come as a couple, right? So if you have one eclipse, 2 weeks later, you're going to have another one. Okay. Now, before I go any further, because I know eclipses can be kind of daunting, right? So we will talk more in depth about the eclipses as they get closer, but we are going to take a general overview look at them, and I will give out some keywords so that we can have a little bit more knowledge about it instead of, waiting and dangling, especially for those of you who kind of already have an inkling, especially because some of you who are highly intuitive, you're already feeling it. You feel the change coming. You're seeing it. You're understanding the patterns because that's just what the astrology is, recognizing and seeing the patterns. All right, February 17th. That's the first one up. So this is going to be 28 degrees in Aquarius. And it is a new moon solar eclipse. Okay. New moon solar eclipse. Now, with that said, the reason I wanted you guys to see these sooner, actually, but I only have, anyway, regardless of what my situation is, usually I can't get my videos to you guys fast enough, at least in my mind. So with that, the energy of eclipses, we're usually in those energies 6 months to a year almost in advance, depending upon what you have at that degree. Some folks are like, yeah, I got something right there. Some folks are like, no, I got something at 29 or 27 or 26, right? Or even 0 degrees of Pisces, right? The next sign after Aquarius. So if you do, right, 26 to 0 degrees of Pisces, this will affect you. And the more exact, the more precise it is for you, like if you've got something right at 28, you're probably already feeling this. For some of you, you might be like, oh shit, gee, I'm deep in it already. And so what would Aquarius energy bring about, right? We know surprises, unconventional, different, exciting, new, but it can be challenging and disruptive as hell, Aquarius energy. It is more like this forward thinking. It's kind of futuristic in a way, right? We think of science, we think of astrology, we think of inventions, right? group energy, friends, right? But the mind it's an activation of the mind for sure. So with that said, it's a solar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. So that makes it a new moon because a solar eclipse means the sun and the moon are together. And the eclipse piece of it is because it's near the north node. It's a north node solar eclipse in Aquarius energy. The time for that is at 6:01, and the time will matter because there's power within those times, okay? And we will talk about that at another time at a later date, all right, when we get closer to the event. And normally, if it's a solar eclipse, it brings about something new. And I will also add right here, because it's a solar eclipse with a north node, because the north node is not only about something new, but it's about the future as well. This is a very, very futuristic eclipse in a lot of ways. Okay. Aquarius energy, North Node, solar eclipse. It's about new beginnings. All right. So find that 28 degrees in your chart. Think Aquarius energy. You got questions, comments, things that I will address later on as we get closer, when I do the weeklies, or actually, I usually do a video specifically for each eclipse. Just comment below, let me know. All right. Now, the next one up is going to be in March. And the March eclipse, March 3rd. Okay. So March 3rd, and that's 12 degrees of Virgo energy. 12 degrees of Virgo. And so for this one, a little bit different in that it's a lunar eclipse. It's the moon, but it's a total lunar eclipse. So when you see the word total in front of an eclipse, the effects are usually bigger. It's usually a bigger deal. Okay. It's usually more powerful. And I will say intense, even possibly, because it's lunar and it's the moon and it's the emotions. All right. But it's Virgo energy, and Virgo tends to be more practical, more down to earth, and that it can work through things logically in a way, right? It's to analyze stuff, it's the details. So the new shocking and surprising stuff that Aquarius energy brought us, the Virgo is kind of like the jack of all trades, but it's really the troubleshooter, right? It can connect the dots. We even might call Virgo the fixer. Who knew, right? So Virgo at 12 degrees. 12. Interesting. I know, right? 12 degrees. And it's a south node eclipse. So with the south node piece of it, we know that there's a piece of that has to do with the past, something that no longer works for us, something we know we have to release, something we're letting go, and so we know what Virgo is, right? We think of jobs, we think of our daily routines, we think of our everyday life. What do we do in our everyday life? Like, what makes up our daily routine? Who's in it? What are the activities I partake in that make that up? So we also connect our health to this and our health routines, because that's all Virgo. It connects the dots. Yeah. So there's a release, a big release in essence, because it's a lunar eclipse, but it's a total lunar eclipse. Total lunar eclipse. And it's a south node, which is about leaving the past in the past. And really truly, for these to be the two kickoff points for 2026, and the fact that this eclipse is at 12 degrees on this one, and we think of public figures, right? We'll talk about degrees and all that in another video, but in general, we see that the parts of our daily routines that are changing, especially if you have something from 10 to 14 degrees of Virgo. And remember, this is just a general quick overview for the year. All right. I will go more in depth on another video at a later time. So some sort of a let go and a release, big time, big time. And we think of the details. We think of our job. We think of our day-to-day routines. We think of that which no longer serves us. We think of something that's just outdated. And the Virgo usually is logical and practical. And because it's known as the analyzer and looking at the details and the fixer and the perfectionist, at the perfectionist degree, I might add, and very idealistic degree for sure, there might be something really healthy here too, where we can say, "Oh, yeah, I need to let that shit go." Do you know? Like, perfection is pretty, unrealistic. That's the first 2 eclipses, and for the energies in your chart, right? Like 28 degrees of Aquarius and 12 degrees of Virgo, if you have objects in there, right? You're looking at the house number that they're in. That's where these changes occur in your life. The house number is the where in your life these changes happen. Okay. In general, that's February 17th and March 3rd. And because if you have something exact or within that orb I gave for both of these, 6 months to a year in advance, you're already, you've been you've been making choices. You've been looking at the details. You've been just choosing something that you know isn't serving you any longer, but at the same time, a new beginning. Because it's both these eclipses, because remember, they come as a couple, they come as pairs. And so this first one is more of a promise of something new, different, and exciting. And we're taking it into the future. It's not new as in just for that moment. It is definitely more about this is where we're headed, right? So the other piece of it then is, but we have to let go of the past. We have to release that which is outdated, that which no longer serves me. And with Virgo being health and health care, and we think insurance, 12 degrees, institutional energy, and Virgo, right? In the details, we can see where things that might have worked really well at one time, it's so antiquated. It is so outdated. It is so like you hear people say it all the time. Shit's broken. Shit's broken. So that's the first part. And you're probably already feeling it. You got questions about these, put them in the comments and let's go to the next ones. Remember, this is the pair. 2 of them happen in August. We have August 12th at 20 degrees of Leo. All right, August 12th, 20 degrees of Leo. And this is a total solar eclipse. Total solar eclipse. So this is a new moon. This is a big deal. New beginnings, new moon. Now, with this particular one, because it's a total solar eclipse and it's in Leo energy, this is quite powerful. This is potent energy. This is willpower combined, depending upon your Leo energy, with the heart energy, with the higher heart energy. It really depends on how your Leo energy is functioning. It can be tricky. Leo can be very courageous and confident, and there can be some ego stuff in there for sure. And really about, I am the boss, I am the authority. So it can be tricky. And this is powerful. It is a total solar eclipse, which intensifies it. And it's at a very intense degree. That's August 12th. And we're going to place the quick orb. Remember, the general orb is just going to be from 18 degrees of Leo to 22 degrees of Leo energy. A promise of a new beginning. And Leo is what? Fun, courageous, feeling like a kid again, entertainment, laughter, joy, romance, mating, dating, relating, like Leo energy, right? Lots of parts of Leo can be about creating literally artistic stuff, procreating, creating life, um, athletics. You know what I call it? Like having a really good time with the body. Well, everybody has a different way that they do that. Having fun with my body, right? We had fun when we were kids, and this is how we had fun. Then we became adults. How do or young adults, and how did we have fun with our body? Then we became like a little bit older, and it was like, okay, how do I have fun with my body now? So it's really creative energy. I love it. At the same time, it's super colorful and stands out, and it can be attention seeking. Sometimes we liken it to the ringmaster, but I feel like with the 20 degrees, this is more about authority and about power in a big way. So solar eclipse. Now with this solar eclipse, this one is a south node. South node. So this incorporates the past and a release of the past, because that's the South Node. Something we were really good at, like superpower energy. We've got Leo energy, then South Node in Leo. This here is where we used to create this way. We used to have fun this way. Things with children, even. There was something there. And it could be, this is interesting because it's at the 20 degrees, which is a degree for trauma and tragic shit. So there hopefully can be some healing energy around this. But with all that said, a release, but yet the release is part of the new beginning, meaning we need to release, we need to let go, we need to heal so that we can bring about this grand new beginning at 20 degrees of Leo. Okay. So we go next to the August 28th. This is interesting, right? August 28th, we have an eclipse in Pisces. This is at 4 degrees in Pisces. 4 degrees. This one is a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse. So this is moon energy, full moon energy. Full moon energy, completion, a let go, right? You hear a lot of similar themes. And there's one more thing that I'll get to at the end here that's super distinctive about these 4 eclipses for this year. All right. So just hang in there with me. Pisces energy, more institutional energy. Pisces is typically soft. It's more about the patterns, about the flow, about understanding cycles, hopefully some healing, hopefully some forgiveness, so that we can kind of accept and surrender and move forward. Because the move forward piece is important, because this is a Pisces lunar eclipse, but it's a North Node lunar eclipse. So it's similar. Really interesting thing about Leo and Pisces energy, I've said it before, they have some qualities that are similar in that they're both creative. They are also both politicians and public figures, right? So super interesting. Now, with that, the difference is Pisces is definitely institutional, like government energy, okay? And there's a release. And that release has to happen so that we can move forward. The North Node is always about our future. This is something that will be part of our future. And this eclipse degree is at number 4. Fascinating as hell. Fascinating as hell. Remember, Pisces is sound and water, feelings, but it's an intuitive feeling. It's an energetic feeling. Pisces understands energetically. You follow? It resonates with Pisces. This is like soul energy, past life, past whatever you want to call it, soul memory. Pisces, some say, is karmic energy. There's something here, especially at the number 4, where the past is really strong, where there's a big deal. So a release and a let go. Pisces again speaks to water, and we think of higher information that can possibly come through with intuitiveness, because that's Pisces, highly intuitive, highly sensitive, the sponge of the zodiac. All right. So that orb in your chart, you're looking for 2 degrees to 6 degrees of Pisces, from 2 to 6. And that's just general, right? We'll go into more details at another time when we're actually looking at each chart, because there might be more planets involved, and then we'll update that if need be. With the Aquarius energy, this is air. This is talking and communication. We have to use our mind with Aquarius energy. It's higher information, higher knowledge. It is also about being detached, right? Releasing what we were holding on to tightly, because that's the only way we can move forward into the future. We have to be willing to go where no man has gone before, kind of energy. So air. The next one is Virgo. This is earth. It's grounded. It's more logical and practical, right? It's very different than Aquarius energy. Very different. And these two energies, when we talk about how they're only 2 weeks apart, there's a little bit of uncomfortableness. Like they quincunx each other, right? Technically. So there's some uncomfortableness, because Virgo wants to see the details, whereas Aquarius has an understanding of how all the details connect. Now, remember Mercury's higher octave is Uranus. So, in other words, this Aquarius energy, the higher octave, the bringing in like the higher knowledge, the divine knowledge, the God knowledge, the God symbology and words, and just infusing it into the mundane, Virgo, infusing it into our everyday life, Virgo. Right, makes you think of AI, right? Sure does. The next one is our feisty Leo energy. Fire. It's fiery. It's hot. It's active. It moves. You've seen fire that just sits there? No. Even if it's in a fireplace, that shit's blowing stuff. Sparks are flying. It doesn't have to be a wildfire, right? You got it in a spot and it's alive. It's alive. And so we think of the power of our will and we think of the colors that a fire has, right? Super colorful. If you're looking at it, you can see all sorts of stuff and colors. You see the yellows, you see the greens, the blues, the oranges, right? You can see a lot of colors. So it's vibrant. It gets your attention. Gets your attention. And fire is hot, but it's active and it takes action. Okay? Next we have Pisces energy for the next one. Is more connected, to the water and emotions and trust and faith. Maybe trust is the wrong word, but belief and faith and waiting. We kind of we wait for that flow to begin with Pisces. When we're in the flow, we can see the cycle. We see what's happening. We see which way the water's going. We see the direction of the flow. And we kind of take that as a nod, right? Like a nod from the universe. Yes, this is the route that we're taking, kind of thing. So some would say Pisces is a little bit more receptive in that way. And we know it's receptive because it's so sensitive, because it's soaking up whatever and whoever is around it. So with the Pisces, it's sensitive water, right? So you got sensitive water, you got fiery, creative, almost in your face, very out there, colorful, attention getting, fiery Leo. And then you've got Virgo, who's more practical, more mundane, less flashy, just like, looking at the digits and keeping track of analyzing the boring stuff, right? So that's the Virgo earthy stuff. And then you got Aquarius, air. So it's air, earth, fire, and water. The four elements, eclipses and the four elements this year. So it's kind of fascinating when we think about the four different areas, the four different energies, the four different areas of the chart in your life, basically, that are likely undergoing changes. Now, the changes will be different depending upon if you've got something there, right? And every time there's an eclipse, it truly is part of a growth process, evolutionary process, truly. You hear some channels call themselves evolutionary astrology. And I always thought to myself, like, I don't get that. I mean, I get it, but astrology is evolutionary. Like it's just there. It's just what it is. But I guess it needs to be said, is what I'm saying, or coming to the realization. It should be pointed out that it's about an evolving process. It's not about staying the same, because that is how, change is life, right? And life and change and growth requires change and blah, 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 blah. So hopefully this quick, well, it's 30 minutes long. Sorry, guys. I was hoping to do this in 10 minutes, but hopefully just this little general overview can give you enough information to look at these areas in your chart. And if you have questions, put them down below so that we can kind of cover these and go in a little bit more in depth when I do the follow-up videos for 2026 and the changes that are coming.